Orale! Bienvenidos and welcome to the Familia FFB podcast. This is your host, Jorge Martin. And hey, you know what? We are live on YouTube. Please make sure you give us a like and subscribe. Por favor, por favor, por favor. Make sure you're going in there, giving it that some thumbs up. Also, going to the fantasypoints.com. Make sure you're putting in that promo code 22familia10 or 22familia10. When you go in there, you get some of the best of the best. And when you go to fantasypoints.com, gosh, the best of the best. John Hansen, Graham Barfield, Joe Dolan, Scott Barrett, all friends of the show, all amigos, buen amigos. Tom Brawley, Wes Huber. Some of the great fantasy minds that are out there. You get some of the best fantasy advice. And for everything, whether you're doing redraft, whether you're doing dynasty, whether you DFS, IDP, there's college football, there is golf. It is all there in one great package. Just, whatever subscription rate you want to get, use that promo code 22familia10. So Familia, Alberto's in the house. Orale, Alberto. It was nice seeing you yesterday on the Front Yard Fantasy with the Front Yard Fantasy guys. Muchas gracias for. I never, as I said, I never had so much fun getting my butt kicked by Russ of Dynasty Outhouse. But no, that was a good time. That was a good old time. So doing a little something different today. And, it's kind of like there's been so much stuff lately about this Twitter account, Fantasy Receipts. They started following me, so maybe they're going to do that. So I thought, I thought I'd pull some receipts on myself in this episode. So kind of looking at some of the things. I went back to the My Guys article that I wrote before the start of the season. So this, and because right now we're halfway through the season. Hola Dame. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Yes. So, it just got me thinking a little bit on what we're, kind of where we are, where I am. I wanted to pull some receipts on myself, kind of looking at some of the process that went into some of the picks that I made, some of the calls that I made, some of the people who I made my guys, some who are some of the fades that I went into. Just kind of going into that a little bit, thinking about what I need to do. But first off, before anything else, I also want to give a quick update. Dame, you were there. So you saw it. Somehow, some way, somehow, I am number 7 in Scott Fishbowl. So, number 7 out of 3,000. I've already made the playoffs. So it's just, I'm over the moon. It's by far the best team that I picked. So far, that team is 13-1. So it'd be 6-1 in a regular team. My guest last week, our invitado de lujo, Tim Riley, he's the only one who beat me, and it was in a shootout. So because my team just keeps piling up points, I'm so proud of that team. So excited to be doing it in the Scott Fish Bowl. Yes, Dame, La Dama. Yes. We're strong. We are strong. LA Live strong. So when I looked around the room, and we talked about it, there were definitely some big hitters in the fantasy football industry. Some that I were at the very same table I was at, sitting next to them, and I do remember having some issues with the Wi-Fi a little bit that threw me off, but still made some quality picks. My first 10 picks were fantastic. Got Damian Pierce late after the 10th pick. I got so many rookie receivers who are doing well. So let's get a trophy smack trophy for SFBLA. So yes, I only have to stay in Southern California. Por favor, let's do that. Josh, I'm riding Josh Allen all the way through. It's having a good time on that one. And there's been so much talk a little bit about what's kind of happening with football this year. And you know what? It's like when I look at it, it's not that it's not great football. I think the defenses are very much ahead of the offenses, and I really think one of the big problems has been the O-line play. There's been so much attrition. Some offensive lines that were thought to be good are regressing a little bit. That's the Rams, who definitely had some losses both before the season And now injuries, the Indianapolis Colts, those are two of the lines that have really regressed so much this year. And you know what? One of the things that really got me thinking of what's going on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and with the Green Bay Packers, and it really is the offensive lines on both teams. I saw both quarterbacks just throwing so many dirt balls just to avoid getting hit. I don't blame them. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, these guys are on the, Tom Brady is considered the GOAT. When you're talking about Rodgers, I mean, talk to Chris Sims, he still says he's the greatest quarterback he's ever seen. Hard to argue. He's one of the best. He really is one of the best all time. The two-time reigning NFL MVP. But they were throwing so many dirt balls. They're not getting a lot of help from their receivers. I mean, we saw what happened with that what that should have been touchdown from Mike Evans. Ay Dios mío, that one was just painful to watch that one. And I have Evans. I actually have a Evans Brady stack. Sorry about that, familia. I got a little hippos there, little hiccups. But yeah, it's one where the offensive players are just not catching up to the defense. Gosh, I mean, and really is the defenses are getting home a lot. You look at the Chargers; they've been hit with some injuries. Justin Herbert had that bad, has that cracked rib cartilage that really I still think it's holding him down. So you look at all those different things, and it's really making a difference in the play that we're seeing on the field, and it's making a difference in the players, the fantasy players that are doing that. There's still some players that are balling out, as we're going to talk about a few here. There are some that are coming back. Like I said, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson are three of the examples that are just the biggest examples of players who are just taking a step backward. And I hope they're not coming back. They're not regressing to the point where they're going to be leaving football, because gosh, it's really tough. The quarterback play really lifts up our game, and we need to make sure to get as many good quarterbacks as possible. And I know there's a lot of talk about the rookie class that's coming up. I always, you guys know me. I always say the rookies, it takes them the rookie year and the second year where they make the jump. And really, I don't know if I think Trevor Lawrence has made some strides forward. I think this year Justin Fields is starting to make some strides forward. But really, I mean, we haven't seen the pronounced jumps like what we saw from Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert last year. And that just makes the quarterbacks that could throw downfield, they're the ones who actually can make the plays. That they open up the field for the running game and everything like that. So, Familia, let's just keep lighting a veladora for the quarterbacks and for the offensive and the skill players to be able to continue to keep doing well. So yes, Dame, muchas gracias for rooting for me. And I mean, that's the big thing. Also looking at, I'm going to be keeping an eye out for Sam Ehlinger, who's going to be taking over as quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. That one's going to be very interesting, muy interesante, because the fact that he's a very different quarterback than what we've seen with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, classic drop back passer, pocket passer. He's really good, former MVP, but he's just not the guy that's going to scramble. And Sam Ehlinger, he is a player that's going to be, moving the pocket, maybe, and he's going to be rolling out. There's talk of him being like Jalen Hurts 2.0. Some talent evaluators have said Jalen Hurts not as good as the real Jalen Hurts. So we'll see. I don't know how that's going to impact Michael Pittman. I think it's going to be a step down because of the fact that really Matt Ryan was targeting Michael Pittman there the last couple of weeks so much. Also targeting Paris Campbell. How does that affect them? Does he? Ehlinger did have a 10-yard A dot during preseason games. Granted, that is against other player, second string players, maybe players who aren't even in the league right now, or maybe are on practice squads. Those kind of guys aren't going to be who he's going to be facing this week. And so I look at that one. I've got a little trepidation for him. Rookies always in their first game. It's tough one. It's tough one. And they've got, let's see, I'm looking at it's Washington and Indianapolis. Washington has, they did a good job getting home against Aaron Rodgers last week. So I look at that one and it's kind of like, and with the offensive line kind of in a little bit of tatters over in Indianapolis, does Washington, even without Chase Young, does it get home and get to the rookie quarterback, get him running? So Jay Wall, mi amigo, much love, brother. Welcome home. Muchas gracias for joining us. So I'm gonna get into a little cheese man before everything. So just kind of building off of what we've been talking about a little bit. So Ryan Tannehill missing practice this week. Today is Wednesday, so first practice of the week. It's going to be tough. It's something to monitor. He wasn't a walking boot after the last game, so I'm looking at. Keep an eye on Malik Willis. If you can get him, if you can pick him up in Superflex leagues, I would really recommend that if he's out there, just in case. Also looking at Marshawn Lattimore not practicing as of today. This would be his third straight game that he misses, and we know that impacts the passing game and of the opposition in a positive sense. So when you look at and so they're playing the Vegas Raiders, this is going to be a game that really has a chance to shoot out because the Raiders are not very good on the back end either. So I'm looking at Devontae Adams with a big game. Hunter Renfrow, do not drop him. I've gotten some questions on the Fantasy Points Discord asking if I would drop Renfrow. I would not drop Renfrow this week. I think with Darren Waller probably trending to not playing, I think it's very much a possibility that Renfrow is going to be peppered with a lot of those short and intermediate route passes that are just gold for slot receivers. So looking at him. Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry still not out. So there's a player that we're going to talk about in a few minutes that he's someone that really we're not looking that could be looking at another big target haul. Again, Cam Akers. Familia, he's not playing for the Rams anymore. So I know some people have been asking about Kyron Williams. It's probably not this week that he's coming back, but if he's on your waiver wire and you got an IR spot, I think he's worth picking up. Other players to keep an eye on. So we got, for Thursday night football, well, I already know that Russell Gage is out on that one. So that's going to be, and that Julio Jones is going to be a game time decision. Again, sabe, who knows who that one is? It's going to be Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are going to be the primary pass catchers on that one. And looking at what Leonard Fournette's going to be getting out of the backfield, maybe Cade Otton gets a few passes as a tight end, more than 3 for 31, as so many people like to talk about. So we're doing that one. Another guy we're keeping an eye on is Mark Andrews. He did not practice again today, so he's listed as questionable for the Thursday night game. Keep an eye on him in the inactives an hour and a half before the game. So it'll be about 6:30 to 6:40 that we'll be hearing about that one. Keep an eye on that one because gosh, that one's we're going to find if he doesn't go, and you also got Rashad Bateman who's questionable. Is it Isaiah Likely, or do they go with a running game that's primarily Lamar Jackson, Gus Edwards, and maybe a little bit of Kenyon Drake? On the other side, I'm looking at you, Tom Brady. I mean, Tommy B. This game's got to go into your hands. The folks over at the Baltimore Ravens, they've been better against the pass of late, but they haven't gone up against Evans. They haven't gone up against Godwin. Just go look at those. Look at those guys. And make sure, look at those guys. I think they're going to have, I think this game has sneaky shootout possibilities. It's an over under of, I'm looking at that one. It's 45 right now. With Baltimore, a 1.5 point favorite. It's a home. How I love taking the home underdogs. I'm taking Tampa Bay in that one. Let's just look at that one. I'm going Tampa Bay. go for it on that one. And Tampa Bay in the over, so plus 1.5. And other cheese man that we got going on. I'm looking at that one. Let me see anything else coming in. Nico Collins not practicing, so Familia. This is something to keep in mind because we're going to talk about the one of the players in a second, because it could very much impact kind of the targets that are coming in for one of the players. So, and you know what I'll do in a second, I'll do the you know what, let's just jump into it. We got I'm gonna do quick picks on the teams right now for the weekend. You got Jacksonville 2.5-point favorites, 39-point over under in London. It's going to be an early wake up call for us out in the West Coast. I'm looking at this one. Gosh, it's going to be an ugly game. Denver's defense is so good, but man, can they score? I don't think so. I think Jacksonville is going to win by a field goal on this one. It could be an ugly game. It could be like 14-10, 13-10, 17-14. Just maybe a defensive touchdown in there. I hope Trevor Lawrence has has a game or two, because has some good plays, maybe scores a touchdown or two, because I got him on Scott Fishbowl. Thankfully, I got Josh Allen back. But I'm looking at Jacksonville in that one. Carolina at Atlanta. Atlanta's a 4.5-point favorite, 42-point over under. I think this game's going to the under, and I'm looking at this one. I'm taking Carolina plus 4.5. I think this is going to be a field goal game. This is going to be really low scoring. This could be 10-7. This could just be punt fest. I know PJ Walker had some good game, had some good game, but you know what? I don't see him doing it every week. This is going to be a road game for them, and Atlanta's just been really good at making games ugly. They run the ball a lot. That's why I think this game's just going to skew to the under. Chicago at Dallas. That's 42.5-point over under. Dallas is negative 9.5, 9.5-point favorites. I think this is going to be an ugly game for Justin Fields. I look at this one because it's just, I don't see him having a really good game with Micah Parsons in his face all game long. And that's going to happen. That offensive line has been playing better against the run. I mean, when running the ball, but really they're just not as good when they're, when in pass protection, and it's been ugly for Justin Fields. I think it's going to be Dallas, and Dallas is going to cover, but this game's going to go to the under, because I think this is going to be a game where it's going to be like 20. I think Dallas is still going to skew to run the ball. Keep an eye on the fact that Ezekiel Elliott is hurt. I remember why I was watching the game when he went out he missed a series. He came back and missed a series or two, but he ended up coming back to the game. And I was actually surprised that he came back, because when it looked like he hyperextended his knee. It did not look pretty. I think he's going to miss this game. So get Tony Pollard in your DFS lineups, in your redraft lineups, get him in there. So Miami at Detroit, two banged up secondaries. And this game's going to be 51.5-point over under. You got Miami 3.5-point favorites. You know what? I think when I look at this game, I look at the fact that, gosh, I'm expecting that Miami is gonna put up some points, but you know what? I'm calling the upset. I think Detroit is going to win. It's going to be shootout a little bit. It's going to be like 28-27, something like that. But I think Detroit's going to win. This game is going to cover the over. But yeah, they're going to cover. Minnesota is hosting Arizona. Minnesota coming off the bye. So Minnesota's 3.5-point favorites, 49-point over under. This is a part of the season I've been talking about it, where Arizona is going to be having a bunch of home games or games in good weather or in domes. This is going to be a dome game. And Minnesota's defense their secondary's gotten beaten a little bit. If their defensive front gets home, it's going to be a long afternoon for Kyler Murray. But I think Kyler Murray is going to take some shots with DeAndre Hopkins, but I still think this game is going to go to the over 49 points. I think what's going to happen is Minnesota's going to get up a little bit early, but Arizona is going to is going to come back, because that's what Kyler's been doing. Las Vegas at New Orleans, 50-point over under. Las Vegas, 2-point favorites. It's looking like Andy Dalton's going to be starting this game. I think this game is going to be a game where Las Vegas is going to win and barely cover, but this game's going over because both defenses, the Raiders are the bottom dwelling pass defense in the league, and New Orleans is just decimated with injuries back there. They're both going to give up some points. So this is going to be like a 31-28 game, and both quarterbacks are going to eat in this game. New England at the Jets. We don't know who's quarterback for the Patriots. We know who's quarterback for the Jets. We also know that they don't trust their quarterback, they being the Jets. And if New England does another one of those things where they're kind of like switching at the quarterback, this one's going to be a tough one. I think New England's going to win kind of like a running game, a game. This game may be the fastest game on the of the day, because of the fact that I think both teams are just going to run the ball. The Jets have already said James Robinson is going to be he's going to be eased into the offense a little bit. So maybe it's going to be a fair amount of Michael Carter, a little bit of Ty Johnson, but no, I think it's going to be a lot. They're still going to be running the ball a lot. New England, it's going to be Ramondre all day. So get that one in there. Philadelphia. So I think it will be New England winning and covering, and they're going to be 40, and this game's going to go to the under, though. It's going to be like a 20-17 game, or a 14-10. Not a pretty game. A lot of punts in this game. Pittsburgh at Philadelphia. Philly is 10.5 point favorites, coming off the bye, 43 points. And they just added Robert Quinn, the all pro edge rusher, and to an already loaded defensive line, a great defensive backfield. I think it's going to be a long afternoon for Kenny Pickett. There's going to be some YOLO balls in there, maybe one or two go to George Pickens that hit home, but this one's going to be a tough one. I think Philly covers. This is going to be like 35-10 or something like that. It's gonna be a rough one. It's gonna be a rough one. I'm expecting Miles Sanders to get quite a bit of run in this one, because Pittsburgh is still not doing a good job defending the run. But you know what? There will be a fair amount of rushing the ball. But you know what? The Steelers are still so banged up in the secondary. I mean, this is not a steel curtain descended. This is tough to watch. I hate when TJ Watt's not out there, because the NFL is better. But yeah, they're going to be able to take some shots with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, and they're going to come home. So let's go to the afternoon games. Tennessee at Houston. Houston is 2-point underdogs, home underdogs. You guys know about those home underdogs. You know what? I'm calling an upset on this one, because the fact that Tennessee just does not do a good job defending the pass, and they're just not good at defending the pass. So I think Davis Mills has himself a game. It looks like Nico Collins is going to be out. I think Brandon Cooks is going to have himself a game. I don't know if this. I don't have a feel on this one going over under. I think that I think one of the kind of like a game stack that I like in DFS is Cooks and Mills coming back with paying up for Derrick Henry, because I think Tennessee is just going to try and run the ball, because Houston cannot stop the run. They're last in defense against the run. So so again, Houston's going to cover, but it's going to be an ugly game. Washington at Indianapolis, as we mentioned, it's the battle of the backup quarterbacks. It's Taylor Heineke and Sam Ellinger. Dios mío, familia. This is going to be I think the thing that's going to be most fun about this game is seeing where Dan Snyder sits in the Zach Kiefer, amigo of the show. He was on the Rich Eisen show and they were talking about the fact that maybe they're going to have like a porta potty where they're going to be sitting Dan Snyder for the game. So that one's funny. Oh, gonna say hello to a couple people real quick. Mr. Scampers, coolest cat. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? None of us could beat Russ yesterday on Front Yard Fantasy, right? Oh, Jay Felicio, mi amigo, mi amigo, mi amigo. Thank you for the wake up call this morning. Thank you. I opened up my phone and saw the hip hip Jorge, the tweet showing that I was number 7. It's that was awesome. That was awesome. Yes, and I agree. This chat is where it's at. So. Familia, please keep throwing those comments in there. So please, por favor, that'd be awesome. Finishing up, San Francisco at the Rams. You know what? The 49ers are still kind of banged up back there. But you know what? I think they're going to get, I hate to say this, I think they're going to win a nail biter. It's going to be a field goal game. The 49ers, I think they're going to get just enough from Christian McCaffrey and their playmakers. And I think their defense is going to get home on Matthew Stafford. I really hope they worked on the, rotations on the offensive line to try and get a group that's going to give Matthew Stafford some time, because Familia, it just has not been fun. And, you guys see my Ram shirt. It's I'm still a true blue fan, but fan, not flan. I'm still so true blue, but you know what? It's been tough to watch. To see Matthew Stafford just not having a lot of time. So I still think Cooper Kupp has just kind of keeps rolling along, but I think the Rams are going to have a tough time getting any kind of running game going on, because the 49ers, as banged up as they are on defense, they're going to be able to stop the run against the Rams. Giants at Seahawks. It's a 45-point over/under. Seahawks are 3-point favorites. This shocks me a little bit, but you know what? I think Seahawks win this game. Its game is going to go under the 45-point over/under. It's going to be a lot of running in this game, because neither team can stop the run. I think a good game stack would be getting both Kenneth Walker and Saquon Barkley on your DFS lineups. I think that is something to think about, because both defenses are just having a really, really rough time stopping the run, and it's just it's not pretty. Sunday Night Football, Green Bay at Buffalo, 11.5-point favorites for the Buffalo Bills, 47.5-point over/under. I hate to say this, but I think the Bills are going to cover this game. 11.5 points. I almost wore an Aaron Rodgers jersey tonight to be ironic, but I look at this one and it's just the Bills are, with Von Miller coming off a bye, they're going to be fresh. They're going to be attacking the offensive line, which has been, which has just been, they're just getting beat. They're just getting beat repeatedly. They being the Packers offensive line, and it's just it's a rough one. So I just don't expect I don't expect Green Bay to be able to get much on offense. But this is going to be, this could be ugly. This could be 35-14 or something like that. It's 35-20, something like that, because it's just I don't think Green Bay is going to be able to keep up with them. I know Rodgers has talked about the fact that when people have counted them out before, but when people counted him out before, he usually had, he usually had number 17 on his roster, but he doesn't. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game for the Packers. I think Buffalo is going to just take them down. Closing out Monday Night Football, Cincinnati 3.5-point favorites. Road favorites at Cleveland, going to the dog pound, 47-point over/under. You know what? This one smells like an upset a little bit. I think this is going to be a field goal game, and I think Cleveland's going to win the field goal game, or even Cincinnati could win the field goal game, because I think that the Browns are going to try and run the ball and try and slow down Joe Shiesty. 481 yards from me last week. It was just ridiculous. So I'm looking at. I still think they're going to be taking some shots. Denzel Ward is battling injury right now, so he's the guy guy who would be sticking Jamar Chase. So, on Monday Night Football, I'm going to be very tempted to make Jamar Chase my captain, my showdown captain, because I think he could be set for another big game. But I still think Cleveland covers this game. I really do. I really do. So we're gonna do something a little bit different. It's receipts time, fantasy receipts time, and I'm just looking at guys that I went through and I looked back at the players that I hyped, the guys who I made my guys. Yes, Jay. Jay asking if Cam Akers is out the door. I think he's played his last game for the Rams. Very much so, very much so. And Mr. Scampers, he agrees. He's is he not in the building again? I thought he just didn't practice. I didn't see whether he did. I didn't read the Athletic or the LA Times yet, so we're gonna see. That would just be painful. That one's just that one. I don't like it. So, but yeah, I'm going to look at the guys that I'm going to say arriba or ay. So arriba means I at the mid-season report card, I nailed it. Ay means I didn't. I didn't, and that one, eso duele. It hurts. And I'm going to start off with the first one. Kyler Murray. I had him as my QB3, Familia, and ay. This one hurts. I had him QB3. I just looked at the great start he had last year, and I thought, he's going to stay healthy and he's going to be great. But you know what? He's a QB8 right now, and it just really doesn't look good. He's got a lot of uneven play. The offensive line hasn't been great. He's not using his legs nearly enough. Through 7 games, he's run 45 times for 263 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, he's 2 spots behind Geno Smith, Familia. It's been rough. It has not been pretty. And when I think about the quarterbacks that I have, my most successful teams are the ones where I have Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and I have one Patrick Mahomes team. But really, I have more Kyler Murray than those teams combined. And it's been rough. And it's the offensive line play. They're trying to. He's playing too much in the pocket. I'd really like to see him roll out more and just kind of use his legs. And I'm hopeful that DeAndre Hopkins kind of helps settle him down. I mean, but he had his guy Marquise Brown, and he was doing really well. I mean, he was just targeting him. I really wish we could have seen them both, but that one's tough. That one's tough. So I'm taking I on that one. Trey Lance was another one that I had. I'm not going to, that one's incomplete. So he's one of the true heartbreakers of the season. Broken ankle in week 2. It's just tough. The clock is ticking on him for year 3 next year. So I just look at him as someone who is, we just don't know what we're getting out of him next year. So there's just going to be so much unknown. His is going to be one of the, how he comes back from the injury and how much he's going to run and whether he's good. That's just something that we're not going to find out about. Derek Carr. Another Familia. Believe me, there are some winners in here, but right now he's a QB 16 right now, only 16.6 fantasy points per game. He has only one 300-yard game thus far. We haven't seen the breakout with Davante Adams just yet. And, but one thing that I look at, and especially with dome quarterbacks, I look at those quarterbacks, what they're doing in outside in the weather in the last 2 months of the season. He's got a game at Denver and a game at Pittsburgh. Denver is in week 11, week 16 for Pittsburgh. I haven't lost hope. I'm really hoping that I'm going to watch this game really closely this weekend against a banged up Saints secondary. Does he, number one, pepper Davante Adams with targets, but also, I mean, does he just really just target Adams and Renfro this week? Because hopefully there's a possibility he could have some time. That the Saints defense has not been striking fear like they have in the past. So I'm gonna keep. This is gonna be a game I watch very closely. So let's go over to the running backs, and I'm going to take a big arriba, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't do a Speedy Gonzalez voice. I mean, I can't do that one. So hopefully Gabriel Iglesias. If you haven't watched his Netflix special, it's really really funny. It's at Dodger Stadium, so yes, I love it. I love it on that one. But yeah, he's. I can't do the voice. He does the voice. Watch it. But no, Saquon Barkley. He was the RB9 coming in. He was the guy that in best ball drafts, whenever I could get him at the second round, a couple times I even got him in the third round. I was scooping him up, but then that was early. By the time August rolled around, I had to get him by the early second round at the latest. He was definitely going. I almost picked. I really wished I had picked him. Well, I really wanted to pick him in a fantasy points staff league, but I took Stephon Diggs, which I'm very happy about. I was hoping he was going to come around, but Edwin Porras, he was not going to let me get him coming around. He had 2 picks before I did, so there was no way he was going to let that happen. So Saquon Barkley, I mean, RB2 on the season. I mean, we're seeing what we were hoping for, what we saw the first 2 seasons, what Paul Dottino of WFAN was saying, that he was on a mission. RB2 right now, 20.2 fantasy points per game, 726 yards rushing, 4 rushing touchdowns. He's got 180 yards receiving on 25 receptions. I mean, he's got 2 top 5 finishes already. All his other games, he's at least been in the top 13, only once on the number 17. So I'm giving that one a stamp of approval. Arriba on that one. Next one, Dameon Pierce, another one I was so excited about. I mean, by the time we were at draft time, by the time I made this, he was the RB 36 and number 87 overall. I'm calling it a big arriba. He was one of my big best ball plays. Scott Fishbowl got him late after the 10th round. So excited on that one. He's the RB13, and I think he's climbing. I think he may end up in the top 10 by the end of the season. He's got 504 yards rushing already, 82 receiving. So, and this is really with, he didn't really start to take over the backfield until about the 3rd week. But, that was the game where he got 20 rushing attempts. He was on the field for 20 rushing attempts on 23 total rush snaps. He was also on 12 pass snaps. So since he became the lead guy, I mean, he's gotten, he has just been he's been the RB9, the RB5, RB11, and RB18. I think he is, for the back half of the season, he's going to be the featured performer for the Texans. Very much. I'm really pumped about him. Ramondre Stevenson, another one. This came for me a little bit from Andrew Callahan. He was the one who really got me thinking about it. I was hoping, because I've always loved his running style. I'm calling this one the big arriba. Also big arriba on Dameon Pierce. He's the RB8 on the season right now. He was the RB34 and number 88 on the season. Yeah, RB8. He's got 487 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. He's got 25 receptions, 145 receiving yards. He's been the top 8 3 of the last 5 weeks, and number 2 and number 5 the last 2 weeks. It was in week 2 that he started to kind of like outsnap Damian Harris. At that point, it was 42-27. Since then, it's been his backfield. Harris even missed a game. Stevenson, even with Harris in the backfield, we saw it on Monday Night Football. Stevenson is the guy. He's getting the goal line carries. Get him in. He feel good about having him in your lineup. So let's look at Jamar Chase. I had him as my stamp of approval. Wide receiver 1. I'm still calling it arriba because he is, as of right now, he's the wide receiver 4 through 7 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, he has been the absolute wide receiver 1, and he could, I think he's set for a big game again. 74. One of the big things from last year was he going to get enough targets? Because he had 128 targets last year. He's already, through 7 weeks. So he's already at 74 targets. So he's averaging 10 targets a game. So he's on pace for over 170 targets on the season. He's already caught 47 balls, 605 receiving yards. He is on his way. 20.4 fantasy points per game. So I'm looking at him. He's on his way to having a better season than he did last year. And so just stay healthy. He's such a beautiful player to have. I'm so excited that I have him on so many teams. He's been targeted 10 plus times in 5 of the 7 games, and the one of the games that he wasn't targeted 10 times, he got 9 targets. So his A dot is 11.1 in the last game. He's getting they're taking deep shots with him. I think it's one of those things. I think you expect that when they're not going to have a heavy pass rush against them. Myles Garrett's on the other side, but he's been a little bit banged up, so maybe he's not going to be at 100% as scary as he usually is. But I look at when they have time, he's going to take some shots with Jamar Chase. So very much arriba. Amon-Ra St. Brown. First 2 weeks, I was arriba. I was taking shots at tequila. I was like, as my kids love to say on that Taylor Swift song, by the way, Midnight's out there. If you haven't downloaded on Spotify, not a sponsor yet, but Taylor Swift, please sponsor Familia FFB for all your fantasy football needs. But I look at Amon-Ra St. Brown through first 2 weeks. He was wide receiver 12, wide receiver 4. And then in week 3, he injured his ankle, even though he had 12 targets those weeks. Came back in week 6 after the bye and just hasn't, I'm hoping that there's been enough time since that injury. So this is going to be, from week 3 to week 8. So it's about 5 weeks. Hopefully he's at the point where he can go back to that self, because you know what? DJ Chark's out. Jameson Williams still isn't back. DeAndre Swift started practicing again today, but we could be looking, this could be a heavy workload for Amon-Ra St. Brown. So he was a wide receiver 21. I still think he's got some big weeks ahead of him. So get in there. So feel free about starting him. Scott Fishbowl, I got him, Familia. So let's keep going here. Brandon Cooks, Familia, wide receiver 48. He's only been targeted 47 times, caught 28 balls, 281 yards. His high finish is wide receiver 9. He's only gotten 10 plus targets in the first 2 games, not even close since. But to me, there's hope there because Nico Collins, we don't know the severity of his injury yet. Lovie Smith was talking about the fact that maybe he's not going to miss a lot of. Maybe first off, he said he won't miss the rest of the season. Okay, that's a long time. That is a long time. That's what 11 weeks left of the season. So I look at Nico Collins being out, and this Raider and this game against Tennessee. I think Brandon Cooks. He's got to be the primary target. Davis Mills. That's a stack that I want to use in at least one DFS lineup this week. Next one, Chris Olave. Now, remember, Familia, I put him afuera. I on Brandon Cooks. Chris Olave, I'm calling him arriba, Familia. He was a wide receiver 44 on the going in ADP, number 105 overall. So far, he's the wide receiver 19. Caught 490. He's got 32 balls out of 56 targets, 495 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's already had 200-yard games. One of them was last week when he was going up against Byron Murphy. And, we were talking about it, Mr. Scampers. I think you were out there. We were both talking about how Byron Murphy was just a bad man. And he still beat him on a deep ball. Not a touchdown, but he came through. Olave, he's been the only healthy player, as we talked about. Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry are still banged up. I think Olave is going to continue to get deep shots, no matter whether it's Andy Dalton or it's Jameis Winston. Let's not talk about Taysom Hill for me. Let's not talk about it. But this kid, he's already got 13 plus targets. So last one that we're going to talk about, Cole Kmet. Familia. He's tight end 33. He's got 18 targets, caught 12 of them in 7 games, Familia. Still no touchdown, no game with more than 4 targets. I know that the Bears are going for the short running game, but for the quarterback, for the young quarterback, who's their safety blanket, the tight end. I think we need to see Cole Kmet start to get more work in the passing game. I don't think it'll happen. I'm calling an I on that one. So just a quick look back at some of the fades that I had going into the season. I'm going to call my, call receipts on that one. So I'm looking, let me look. I know. So quick fades, Derrick Henry, I, the ADP was 104 overall on Fantasy Pros. I was worried about the foot. He's been excellent. He started off a little slowly, 100-yard games past couple of weeks. I looked at him. I still would have taken Kupp and Jefferson over him, and I'm still a little worried about that hardware in his foot. But he may be superhuman. So I'm calling. I'm still saying I missed on that one. Najee Harris, and I talked about. So I'm taking I think that one was dead on. The offensive line was an issue. I still don't know how healthy he is coming off of that foot injury that he had that took him out in spring and during training camp. I think it's still been a rough season for him, and I don't see it coming up anymore. The running back dead zone, Zeke to J.K. Dobbins, both players. I think that was a win. Kind of talking about players like A.J. Brown, Michael Pittman, George Kittle, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson. I did put Kyle Pitts in there in my article. Yes, I know. I'm sorry, but those guys are still delivering. Deontay and Pittman are having a little bit of a rough time, but A.J. Brown definitely a big win. And I know one of the running backs that's really hit, Josh Jacobs. That's fantastic. I know he's somebody I was somewhat high on at his ADP. So looking at that one. Also looking at you, Chris Godwin. He's still kind of coming back from his injury. He's now starting to run full targets. So this one's kind of wait and see. I faded him. I didn't want to pick him before the season. But I look at guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was picked after him. But, I also looking at Jerry Jeudy, Allen Robinson, Marquise Brown. These are all players who were picked after him. And, I would rather have Godwin other than them. But, and just because Godwin may be the healthier one, maybe it's still Tom Brady throwing the ball. Brady is still going to have some big games. Go for that. Last one, Miles Sanders. I'm gonna call. I had him on a fade. I expect Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott to be doing some, kind of taking some run away from him. It's not. It's been Miles Sanders. Some uneven weeks, but a couple big ones. But I look at Miles Sanders as you're playing behind that great offensive line. I should have thought about the offensive line. He's a guy in that running back dead zone who's come back and played well. But you look at the offensive line, you look at the run defenses that they're going against. Not a tough one in the bunch. So I'm calling an L on that one. So, and right now I am calling this show. Adios, acabado. So make sure, familia, thank you for joining us. Make sure you're going to fantasypoints.com and using the promo code 22familia10. Get 10% off the already reduced 25% off purchase price when you go to fantasypoints.com. Get that, help us out. It helps us out a little bit, but also you're going to get plenty. You're going to get plenty of great fantasy advice all through the season. I actually have tried to, kind of you think like some of those guys, like the Grahams and the Scotts and the Johns and those guys, just to kind of think how are they approaching things? What are some of the stats that they're really looking at? And I really appreciate them. So get that, use that promo code, and make sure you're going to make sure again going to YouTube. Give us a like and subscribe, por favor. Give it a little thumbs up, por favor. Get in there. Thanks again to Anchor for putting our podcast out into the world. Make sure you're going to Apple, Google, Spotify if you want to get the audio version of this podcast. Again, I push out all the content at Jorge Martin 17. Make sure you're going there. Look for my stuff. If you're a Fantasy Point subscriber, look for me in the chats Monday through Wednesday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern, and also make sure on rounds. If you need some start sit advice, I'm on there for like the last hour on Sunday mornings before kickoff. So before the 10 o'clock kickoff. So I'm throwing out some advice out there. So again, thank you to everybody for joining us in the chat. Muchas gracias. I so appreciate it. I'm looking at, thank you, Dame. Thank you, Mr. Scampers. Remember, everybody, todos somos familia. Salud.